to slit the throat. The blood was spilled. So really, our sin, my sin and your sin, crucified Christ, nailed him to the cross. So whilst we look at the Romans and the priests and Pharisees who said crucify him as the real culprits, really the sanctuary teaches us that we took part in that process. And the New Testament says, when we sin, we crucify ourselves, the Son of God afresh, and put him to open shame. So if you say you didn't actually kill an animal, you have sinned. We have sinned. So we have all taken part in that process. So Christ came as a substitute for all of us who have sinned, every one of us. And his death that we have committed. And when he was hanging on the cross there, he was thinking about you. He was thinking about me. He was thinking about every sinner and desired that everyone would accept his substitutionary death as payment for sins. All ye that labor and are heavy burden, and he'll give you rest. Rest, Sabbath, beautiful Sabbath rest, but rest from sin, and ultimately rest from the sinful environment. But it means that we have to see Christ as that substitute doing for us what to do. But it's not a perfect one, but it will bring home the point of the substitutionary role of Jesus Christ. There's this school in Londonderry, England. It was one of those schools that you would call, in Jamaica we call them the marginal poor schools, schools not performing. They use some words that I probably wouldn't want to use here, but some schools, you know, persons really don't want to send their children because they say nothing much will come of them because they are bad schools. So this school was really a problem school. Principals would go and come trying to reform, but the students virtually ran the place. In that school, there's a youngster by the name of Big John, powerful, towering. He ran the place. He was the boss around. And there's a youngster named Young Little Billy. He was faithful, mischievous, and all of that. But the school was overrun by the students. They virtually controlled what happened. But one summer, they employed a gentleman who had a reputation for pulling schools around. So when September came, they introduced him to the student body, and the students just laughed because they had heard somehow that they would have none of it. When he stood up to talk, for about 10 minutes, they just laughed and roared and carried on, and he just stood there. And when they had outdone themselves, he said, all right, it's clear that you run this place. And I'm not really here to change much of that. But even in hell, there are laws and rules. So if you really want to make it official, just let's come and send your representative and we'll meet and make plans and sort out the things. So that's how that music to the ears. So I send a delegation with the principal and the other staff, and they sat and they made some rules that govern all the aspects of school life. If a student stole something, if a student was late, if teacher overreached themselves, so it was on both sides. It was pleasing to the student body. And so for a while, strangely, things settled down, and it was going good for a while. Until one day, an alarm rose. Somebody had stolen Big John's lunch, had gone into his locker, his closet, and taken out his lunch. And on the investigation, they found that it was Little Billy. teeny weeny little Billy crossed Big John. So everybody went for the rule books, because for every crime there's a penalty. And when they checked the book, it was 10 stripes across the beard back for stealing somebody's lunch. And old teeny weeny Billy was stripped and stretched across the desk. And the blows would be administered by the principal. No, where the principal raised his hand to administer the first blow, he heard, "Hold it, sir." And that came from Big John. And Big John said, "You know, the rule book says 10 stripes across the beer back. I'll take the 10 stripes. I'll take it. My lunch was taken. I was wronged, but I'll take the 10 stripes." And he took those 10 stripes for little Billy. From then on, they became the best of friends. Their relationship was proverbial. It was something admirable, because Baker Billy was in gratitude, and he never went that road again of stealing anybody's lunch. And I hope you get the point. Said it's not a perfect analogy, because Big John could not be compared in real terms to Christ, but the act of taking the punishment for something that was done against you. You took the stripes. Jesus was treated as we deserve, Ellen White says, as that we might be treated as he deserves. He took the stripes that should have been ours, so that he can live the life that should be his, that is his. He was wounded for our transgression, bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. So the fact is, Christ took our place, the substitutionary death, so that we can have a part in his place. If that's not love, the songwriter says, "Oh, shall it dry day, no star in the sky, the star can't fly." That is amazing grace. That's love beyond compare. And that's what the new covenant experience is all about. You make your promise, you do your wrong, but you're mortals. No, I'm just gonna step in and fix it all. You are wrong, you're running away from me, but I am coming. I came to the world where no one wanted me, to save everyone, to pull everyone, to give everyone hope. That is what the sanctuary is all about. I guess we can go into lots of details, and we can talk about the sanctuary as one of our unique doctrines, and we can go on the details, and we see everything in the sanctuary. But in the end, if it's not about a relationship with Jesus Christ, if it's not about having that new life experience, it means nothing. So, brothers and sisters, wherever you are, we are of the same faith, the same family of God. But if we don't have the experience, that one-on-one relationship with God, it profits nothing. How do we gain it? Prayer, fasting, feasting on the scriptures, just putting ourselves in the place where heavenly intelligences can come and minister unto us. We don't get it by having church offices. We don't get it by being a great singer, a great teacher, a great preacher. We don't get it that way. It's a free gift from God. All we have to do is to ask and to open our hearts. We can't help God out to get it, to give it to us. We have to just be submissive. Abraham tried to help God out. The king said they would do it. Other he says, Hazar tried to help when the ark was falling, tumbling. No. There's nothing in on our process. The new covenant experience, the new covenant sanctuary, anything to tell us the plant is despised us, he'll not be ashamed of us. And even when we are wretched, and though our sins be as scarlet, he'll make them white. So God, the being we have wronged and sinned against, coming down in the person of Jesus, stepping into our ugly space, my ugly heart, and doing a work of transformation. That is what it is all about. And we have Jesus now in the heavenly sanctuary, interceding for us, because he came through a woman to experience humanity. You can imagine the enfleshment of that man. I can't even start to grapple with that concept. The spirit taking on flesh. But he did that because he had to experience what it means to be human, so that in the heavenly place he can be a sympathetic priest. Because he was in all points tempted like as we are. He went through all the trials, all the tribulations, all the bad name, all the bashing, all the name calling, just about everything. He went through it all, so that whilst he's in the heavenly sanctuary now, he can understand what we are going through and is willing and able to make intercession for us, for he feels what we feel. He knows. And what a beauty to have a being like that on our side. I know you have studied the lesson. I know you have gone through the finer points. So really, what I've been through this morning